Chemistry Room Fragrances is the perfect addition when elevating the vibe of any space. Whether if it's your home, car, or office, and something needs a quick refresh, our room fragrances provide that beautiful burst of fragrance with just one quick mist. Shop now at www.chemistryroomfragrances.com and be sure to follow us on Instagram at Chemistry Room Fragrances. Chemistry Room Fragrances. Smells so good.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in. It's Camille Esnick. I'm host of the Speaker Podcast. This is the podcast where innovators here to connect. I am super, super excited about the conversation that is going on tonight. Is going down. Before we hop in, of course, we got to do a little bit of plugging. So tap in and bring a friend. We have some amazing ladies here tonight. This is the Crown Royale conversation. And before we kick things off, I do want to make sure that you go to my website right now at chemistryroomfragrances.com. Use the coupon code GBM15. That way you can save on all the merchandise right there at the checkout. Be sure to hit the notification button. That way you can get in the loop and stay on top of everything when we go live, when I have new things coming out. And you never know what I may pop up with. You guys, I love doing panel conversations. You just never know. So in order to stay in the loop, go to my website right now, subscribe there on YouTube. Be sure to tag someone, let them know that we are here. We are jumping things off. What's up, Jana King? I have to give her a special shout out. She is one of my super fans, and we just want to send Jana some love on today. Also, shout out one of my sisters in the Navy, Shayna. Shay, I call her Huggy Bear. Shay, happy birthday. She is down in Cancun celebrating another year, so we want to wish her the best as well. Going into the conversation tonight, I have the phenomenal Jaacalyn, Dr. J. Davis. We have Reese Ponder, my sister girl we met in the Navy, and then also Angela Paggett, also known as Dr. Angela. So I want you all, Angela, you're new to the show. We're going to go a quick run around the group here. I want you to please introduce yourself and let the viewers know who you are and what you do.
Me first?
Yes.
Oh, hi. My name is Angela Paggett, and I am a mental health therapist. Actually, I am an associated marriage and family therapist in the Metro Atlanta area, and so I practice mental health each and every day.
Great. Dr. J?
Greetings, everyone. My name is Jaacalyn Dr. J. Davis, and I am a holistic life coach and a psychotherapist as well. I have been practicing independently since 2010, and my goal is to help all, but especially Black women of color, to know themselves, to heal, and realize that wellness is their birthright.
Awesome. And Reese?
Oh, I'm in the house with doctors. Y'all know what? Listen, God, I see what you calling me. You calling me higher. So I'm Reese. I am in the Navy. I serve as a paralegal. Currently assigned to a defense service office where I get to ensure that people who may have made not the best decision still get the best service that requires them to have just and fair treatment under the law. So definitely excited to be a part of the conversation tonight.
Yes. And that's the thing. I never got to do the defense side because I decided not to reenlist. But I know you probably have known trial is a beast. That's where all the paperwork is. And we used to be so mad at defense because we were always the ones with the paperwork.
Absolutely. And I wanted to add also, I'm here representing in STEP. Normally I have my husband Rev with me, but we focus on faith, family, finances, and fitness. And so this topic is going to probably go deeper than what I expected, seeing that it's hair, right? People be like, oh, it's just hair. But I think after this conversation, we'll definitely peel back some layers to show that, no, it's a lot more than hair.
Yeah. And we do want to hop into everything. We were kind of chit-chatting before we got on the live, and we're just talking about our backgrounds. And I was letting the ladies know I met Jaacalyn in church many moons ago, and we became fast friends. And Reese chimed in as far as sharing her journey, things she didn't know and things she did know. And so we do want to break off into that conversation. And Reese, since the viewers were not online with us during that conversation, can you kind of hit on what you were talking about before?
Oh goodness, shed the light on my ignorance, but it's good because I'm all about I can't help grow and develop other people unless I acknowledge where I'm deficient at. And so one of the areas I have been deficient at is my Black history, in particular, right? And I always tell my husband I think he's a part of the Black Panther Party, but we won't talk about that. But he is very cultured. He's from Atlanta, Georgia, and I really believe that he was at the March on Washington, y'all. But he has just enlightened me on a whole lot of things about how I think. And so where I grew up in Lancaster, South Carolina, in my class, growing up in elementary school, it was myself and like 4 or 5 other Black students that were in the honors class, right? And then everybody else was white. And so I didn't even know what I was experiencing because I just thought everything that was happening during that time was normal. And so what we were talking about before this is religion kind of masked a lot of stuff that was happening in the world because I wasn't really watching TV unless it was the Looney Tunes or I Love Lucy, things like that, right? Nothing that really shed light on the just mistreatment of us. And I was talking about how religion kind of, it just kept me in a, how do I say it without my grandma being mad? kept me in a place where I was not privy to what was happening in the real world, and everything was Jesus gonna fix it. It didn't matter if you got a relaxer, or if you had to pull it out with a straightening comb. Everything was gonna be all right, right? So this whole week, the past 2 weeks since Cam told me we will be talking about this, I've just been digging in, and it's kind of painful to peel back those layers and truly understand and comprehend how bad we have had it sometimes, but it also speaks to our resiliencies, how we've been able to overcome, even in the military. Now we can wear our hair like this and be extra fly.
And that was a fight, just that heritage. And we're gonna get into all that.
Yeah,
that too was also a fight. And Jackie, as you know, just as as she said, growing up in church, there was a bubble. Some things I started to find out only because I was a nerd and I was in the 2nd grade reading on the 5th grade level. So I read all the time. And I remember when I was 8, 9, 10, my grandparents had Encyclopedia Britannica in the living room. And I would just go grab a letter for something I wanted to know about. And I would read that section out of the encyclopedia because I was just a naturally curious child. And so that's when I started going, oh, well, what about this? And so I think and my mom, she also took me to the library when I was a kid too. So that was kind of driven into me, like turn off the TV, go read something. And that's when I started to, I guess you could say, became woke. I think I was in 8th, 9th grade when I read the autobiography of Malcolm X. And I dated a guy in college and we read Soul on Fire and Soul on Ice. And that's when things really began to open up to me. And I started digging more and realizing like the world, like you said, things I experienced, it wasn't, oh, this is how it is. It was actually discrimination. And I didn't know because we were just in that bubble of church. Jackie, did you want to touch on anything with that? No? Okay. So the purpose of this conversation, the state of California and the New York both have been working to push and pass the Crown Act, which was signed earlier this year, actually about 6 weeks ago. It's a fight that's been going on for some time. The first corporation to jump on backing this law, was Dove. And as you know, Dove, they make soap, lotion, body washes, deodorant is what they're mainly known for. But I thought it was so sad the fact that we have to have a federal law to protect us from wearing our own natural hair. And there's a history of hair, particularly with Black women, that a lot of people are not aware of. And I purposely chose these ladies, not only just because we're all Black women, but we're all brown skinned, dark skinned Black women, which also adds on another layer of this conversation, particularly for myself, being and these ladies as well, being raised in the South, and those narratives surrounding dark skinned Black women and hair. So before we crack into the conversation, be sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. We're going to have a great conversation tonight. If we don't get into everything, it's cool because I can always bring them back and we can do a part 2 of this conversation. But I thought this was really important. When I met Jaacalyn and Jackie, please feel free to kick this off. You were not locked at the time. And so and so there was a space where we didn't see each other. And the next time I saw you, you were in the process of growing your locks. So kind of take us to that point as far as when we met as kids and then your journey into locks. And then Reese and Angela, please chime in because you both are also natural sisters as well.
Okay, that's a blast from the past. You're right about that. So, okay, I was saying this to my mom earlier. I can agree with everything that Reese was saying earlier. And I was raised in a single parent household. Everyone, everyone's home dynamics are different. But my mother was the mother of multiple children. And when in our family, in the Black community, whether we label it disenfranchised or not, if you're not in a dual parent household, there's some things that person has to be quote unquote super to do. So in coming up, I was raised to understand the love of God and the church, and that's the bubble that I lived in. Like she said, the music, the music alone, I'm still catching up. But life outside, life outside of the church is a thing. And Black history, because we are Black. We lived in a Black community. Well, actually, my family, we moved across town to where we were the only Black family in the community. It's another conversation. But my safe haven was church. And there were people there that looked like me and had my experience. They did not have locks, though. So I say all that to say, coming up, we have an understanding of life, but my mom didn't get around to the Black power. I'm trying to teach you how to be a woman, how to be a young lady, how to protect yourself out in public. So we just didn't get to some of these things. So Reese, I totally understand where you're coming from. But she sent me to Black school. I went to Fisk University. I went to an HBCU. And when I got there to Nashville, Tennessee, that's when my African American Studies class, and that's when other people that was my first culture shock. I had never been around all Black people all the time before I came to a HBCU. And so I came here, and that gave me the opportunity to broaden my horizons, whether it was through classes, through activities in the community that I was experiencing. So you caught me in the middle of the transition of my evolution as a person. When I came there, I was a Jesus freak, pressed hair on the front row in the praise and worship team. Let's go, right? And so when I'm assuming this is close to graduation because that's when I started my locks. My having locks or being different was not popular. Like I got locks when it was not cute. Now people in the church asked me how was I going to get a job that way, literally, and my family said the same thing. And so it takes courage, to embody who you are as a person. Identifying, I took it upon myself when I went to HBCU. It made me proud. It made me proud of everything that I was. And so it was a statement. It was my identity had developed, and this was a part of it.
Yeah.
And so that change, it was motivated by my identity forming. And so that's why I think so many young boys and girls are caught in between this struggle between their identity and what the world wants them to be and what the world wants them to look like, so you can quote unquote get a job, so you can be acceptable by your friends or your colleagues, right? We as humans need connection. It's important. We have to have it. But sometimes it's we sacrifice our own identity just to fit in. And I've lived that. And I know there might be a number of individuals on this call that have lived that as well. But when we get to a point, it takes time to be unapologetically Black. Then everybody's journey there is different. But when you're there, you could rock something like this and be like, say something, like, what's up? But this wasn't always the me. This wasn't always, you know, who I was. I was afraid of the questions or getting called the names or all of the things. But I can't remember if you asked me a question. But hopefully that speaks to the transition I made. The transition didn't affect who I was. It didn't affect my spirit or who I was as a person, but it solidified the identity that I wanted to have, how I wanted the world to see me.
Angela, Reese.
I'll go. For me, I actually grew up in the heart of Atlanta, so I went to all black schools. I didn't know what it was to not see black people every day when I went to school. And for a really long time, all the way up until honestly fifth grade, I had natural hair until my mom said, "I'm tired of doing your hair. It's hard. It's hard on my back. I'm breaking combs. Like I done broke so many the little attachments that go to the blow dryer. I just remember them getting stuck in my hair. My mom burning my ear when she was pressing it. And I'm just like, you burned my ear. And she's like, no, I didn't. I'm like, yes, you did. There's a scab on my ear tomorrow. Like, and my hair wouldn't, I would go to school, especially in kindergarten. I would go to school. My hair would be in these cute little twists, but my hair would come undone. So I had to get my hair done by the older kids. And my mom would be like, don't let other kids touch your hair. But mom, my hair came undone when I was at school. Like, what am I supposed to do? And so by the time fifth grade came, my mom said she was tired. So she sat me down in my aunt's chair and I got my first perm. Um, I hated it. The smell, it stank.
What did you
My
hate the most
ear.
about that?
You said what?
What did you hate the most about getting a perm?
The smell. It smelled horrible. And my hair was itching and you're not supposed to touch it. But it's like my hair was itching. So they would take spray and just to spray my hair so it would stop itching, but that didn't stop the itching. It was still itch. Eventually I got addicted to it though. Because after fifth grade, all the way throughout, high school, I would just, it's time to go get a perm. My hair gets to be straight and I just love the straight hair. I would just, wave my hair around and people's like, oh my gosh, you have such beautiful long hair. But eventually it became too much to have straight hair because I would always have to press it out. And then the summer came, and then it was like, okay, you can't have straight hair for long during the summer because it's not going to sit because you're going to sweat it out. And then eventually, by the time I got to grad school, I decided I no longer wanted a perm. And so I decided to grow out my hair then. And that was my first experience with getting box braids because I had never had box braids before. And so I started my transition at that journey, and now I've been natural going on for almost 5 years, and I'm loving it. I had to learn how to do my hair and to love my hair when it was in its ugly phase because I didn't do a big chop like some people do. I just grew my hair out. I was like, I'm not chopping off my hair. That seems too extreme for me. But I did love the journey of learning to like no longer do heatless, and I got into natural hair YouTube, and I became obsessed. I got to go to natural hair shows and try different products. And I think my favorite part of being natural now is people being like, "Oh my gosh, your hair is so long," but like, what products do you use? And I was just like, "Oh, I got you. Like, I'll tell you all the products that I use." And that it's just such a great community to be around other people who love their hair and are learning to love their hair. That I think that's amazing.
Reese.
Listen, my little hair journey. Ooh, I mean, I must have had the auntie that gripped the shortest hair in the world. I don't know how she even caught it. She was braiding my hair since I was 2 years old. And it was a horrible experience, right? And so then I had the little itty bitty braids that were all teeny, could probably fit one bow on the end, but I was cute, right? The biggest concern for my mom at that time was me not looking ashy because I was like really dark as a kid. I don't know what's happening. I'm getting lighter with age, but anyway.
We played outside when we were kids.
Listen, stayed outside. I was a little, ooh. But anywho, and so growing up, I don't know what was happening, why they thought getting a Jerry curl was cute. It wasn't. I don't know if it was Michael Jackson inspired or what. It just was not a good idea. It had a little loop-de-loop down the front of my face.
You had that soul gold going on.
Girl, it was horrible. And then they'd be like, don't sit back on the chairs. Well, why you put this in my hair though? I don't understand. Right? So grew through that. didn't understand how much hair played a role in my life, because if it wasn't what was hip, you getting picked at, and if it wasn't long enough, you getting picked at, right? So going up into the middle school years, I had even dyed my hair with Kool-Aid, y'all. Listen, it was a struggle. And my mom was like, that's what you get, because I dyed it with Kool-Aid right after I had put a relaxer in my hair, and I was on fire. And I was like, dang it, right? So going through high school and even to my 20s, it was weave, whatever kind of weave. If it was a ponytail, like a hook in there, if it was a fan, hey, all of that, right? But when I realized how significant my hair was, is when I had got out of a bad relationship. And I knew I couldn't really replace my body, because if I could replace my body parts, I would exchange them out for something brand new. But I cut all my hair off. And I was in A school when I did the first chop, and I think Cam and Shayna was holding my hand, and we went into this hair cuttery. Them folks ain't know nothing about cutting black people hair, and I was like, I just want it off.
No, Newport, Rhode Island. That's not the place to be if you need hair care.
Girl, and they cut it off, and it took me a long time. That's when I got into makeup, because before then I was just good with gloss, and I was like, I gotta find a way to embrace me. And so even after I did that big chop that time, that's when the relationship was just starting to get bad. But when it was finally over, I chopped it off again like it wasn't nothing. I was like, you know what, I don't care if that person doesn't like it. If they can't like me bald, they ain't gotta like none of me at all. But anywho, so I cut it off, and I was like, I gotta learn to love me. Now this is covering years of just brokenness, but you don't realize how we put things on our external to cover the brokenness. And it wasn't, bless your name, Jesus. It wasn't until I uncovered myself.
This is what this is for.
Yeah, I uncovered myself. It's a spiritual thing, and that's why I want us to get into it. I uncovered myself of what the world needed to see me, so that I could see who I was. And then I was like contemplating back and forth when I met my husband that I've been married to in heaven for years, right? I had chopped it off, and I had a protective style when he first met me. And I should have known I was going to marry this man when he helped me take that protective style out. And he still thought I was cute, honey. And not only did he take it out, he washed my hair and conditioned it. I was like, oh my God, right? And he was like, your curls is popping, girl. You need to. I was like, oh boy, don't you do me, right? And we were going into the conversation of locks. And he was like, babe, I think you should do it. You have a beautiful curl pattern. Like, just blowing me, gassing me all the way up, y'all.
Come on.
And I did it. And so it's been over 2 years now being locked and just being able to embrace. And so it's not a time I pass people and they be like, oh, I like your hair. But I be already telling them, oh, girl, I like your hair. Like, but I've always been kind of that way. But it's just another thing that allows me to connect to people who look like me. And that's not something that I was groomed to do. If you weren't at church, I'm not just finding a reason to connect with you. So my hair has opened up my ministry in so many ways to where I can just not connect to people on a religious part, but on a cultural part. And so someone mentioned before about identity. Because I know who I am, listen, I'll let y'all have it, because y'all not gonna have me toe up. I might have to get one of y'all cars and sit on one of y'all couches. But when I found out who I was, it made sense. And then the kind of hair I got, my loctician be so happy to see me. She said, well, what you do to it? I said, nothing. She said, well, what you put on it? Nothing. She was like, nothing. I said, nothing. I get up, pray, and shake it out, and I be on my way, right? That's not everybody's story, but I'm just so happy that I could do something, be this type of natural, and I can grow to love it. So, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, my hair journey is all over the place. I've always had long hair. Since the time I got here, I was one of those babies. Oh, she looks like a China doll. You know, it was flat. It's, you know, you could just comb it. It would swoop around. And as I got older, it just continued to grow. My grandmother she would put that Crown Royal in the back of her hand and press my hair out for Easter. And my hair trauma didn't come from outside the community, came from within, because I got picked on because I was usually the girl in the class with the long ponytails. And there was a girl, I thought she was my friend, and she was playing with my mom. You know, she would say, you know, don't let anybody play with your hair. But I didn't realize she had taken some scissors and had cut one of my ponytails down to the hairball. And I didn't know, yes, I didn't know until I came home. And so when I found out, I cried. And I remember her name, Kokisha Crosby. She cut my hair down to the ball. And because I had a lot of hair, my mom just reparted my hair, you know, in a different direction so you couldn't tell. And it finally grew back. And that was just like, wow, this girl, she cut my hair. And it was all because she was mad because I had long hair. And then as I got older, I did eventually get into a perm. I think I may have been fifth or sixth grade because at that time that was the thing to do. It was easier. I got tired of the pressing combs and everything. But looking back on it now, as a kid, my hair was healthier when it was natural versus when I had the perm. And then I went through something very traumatic for me personally when I was 19. And at the time, I told my then childhood best friend, cut it off. And that was the first time I had cut my hair off to like up to here. And it was because, and women, particularly Black women, when we go through things that are like traumatic, we kind of self-mutilate through our hair. We'll cut it, color it, do something extreme. I told one of my guy friends all the time, if you want to know what a woman is going through, pay attention to her hair. If she's been a girl that's always kept like a very consistent hairstyle, and one day she shows up and she's blonde and it's short, you need to ask her what's going on. Because we, as Black women, we don't just do that. You know what I'm saying? And so to do something that extreme, you can really tell what we're going through. If you're red, then you're blonde. And now it's maybe not so much, but I pay attention on social media and I can look at a person like, they're going through something. Because when you're doing these extreme flips in your hair over and over, it can show up in your hair. Stress, you know, you hear about alopecia now, hair thinning, shedding, all that ties into things that we deal with as women, particularly Black women, not just being a woman, but being a Black woman, being a dark-skinned Black woman. So when you add in gender, race, colorism, on top of family dynamics, social economic situations, and if you're a single mother, relationship things, all this stuff comes out into your hair. And Jaacalyn, I know you're into holistic medicine as well, and so I'm pretty sure you can attest that that is also a part of it when you have stress. I have friends that are stylists, and they tell me all the time, "Or are you stressed out about something?" When I tell them about different changes in my hair or texture, and our hair is our crown, it's our glory. But I did want to share something with you guys. Culturally, there's been a trope that Black women can't grow hair, that we're short, black, nappy-headed, short hair. We hear these things. And so I started doing some homework even before this episode came to my mind. And what I found out, which I didn't know, is when our ancestors were brought over here, most of them had long hair, but they on the ships, they've shaved them bald as a way of shaming them. And so it would grow back and they would do it again. But then they made a rule where you're not allowed to have your head uncovered. So that's when we see the rise of handkerchief scarves. And we still see it in our culture now with the head wraps and the bonnets. And that's another, people in debate that whatever. But there's cultural ties to that. And Jackie, you may, if you want to, can chime in on that. But so historically, there was a shame associated with Black women that had hair and thus being shaved. I don't know if you guys remember the show Dr. Quinn Medicine Woman. There was a character on that show. She was a Black woman. She was a freed slave. And she had long, beautiful hair. Her character, she had long hair. And so there were some men from the West that came in the casa or whatever, and to shame her because she was a Black woman, they cut all her hair off. And in that episode, you could see the trauma into this character. And I could have been like 10 or 11 during this time in this episode. And I was like, wow. But as a Black woman now, to see that scene, it would resonate with me differently because now I understand that pain more now as an adult woman than I did as a 10-year-old. Mm. Jackie, did you want to jump in?
I was trying to think about the name of the act that they passed in New Orleans. Oh gosh, we talked about it one time when we were on the show before. But it was basically a ban on, like you said, showing your hair. So we had to wrap our head. It was required for us to wrap our head. And because of the extensions that are beautiful hair, which, in my opinion, and I've experienced this myself with having locks, is an antenna. They're antennas. And so when your receptors are out, they draw attention.
Mhm.
So, but needless to say, legislation has a big role in how we move as people. And it shows a lot in the West, in America, about the white racist regime that runs this country, because legislation was passed before to conceal our glory, to conceal our power. And
Mhm.
now we have other individuals that are in place, and the zeitgeist has changed, and the influence of the people have changed. Women are coming to spaces where they need to be. People of color are coming into spaces where they need to be, because diversity and things. This in the West, the North America, where we live, is seeing how, when we come together or in these diverse populations, how beneficial it can be. But below, under that, we have, we stood up on the inside and said, okay, this is who I am. We're not going to take this anymore. And we do have rights to do so. So, but I remember speaking to you about that. And when it comes down to how someone would discriminate or be prejudiced or racist because of, or more discriminatory in this case, because of the hair that you had, it represents your power, it represents your glory, it represents your ancestors.
Mhm.
And so when you are walking around representing yourself and your ancestors unabashed, just, yes, this is who I am, that could be an effrontery. That could be an assault on somebody else over there who doesn't want your shine to be seen. But that's not my problem. But legislation in this country, which is run by a stream of consciousness that identifies with white racist thought, is what we are living under, or what have been, well, technically still, but we are. But I agree with you when you said the fact that there has to be legislation passed for someone to not discriminate against me because of my likeness,
Your hair as it's growing out of your scalp. That is so
my
asinine.
hair,
Yes.
literally. And that is a testament to how powerful each and every one of you on this call, and every Black woman in America and across the diaspora is. And the fact that the sickness, that the insidious toxins that have been spread by the propaganda of this country that we live in, is the reason why you are doing what you're doing, I'm doing what I'm doing, she's doing what she's doing, and she's doing what she's doing.
Yeah.
So in a way, I'm grateful and I'm thankful for them just being them, because it gave me the push to be who I am, and to be here, unapologetic, talking about it, spreading the word, and for you to have a podcast about these things and letting women know that you're not alone. You have thought this before. I've thought it before, and it's okay to think that way. And we're here to support you, because that was the problem. They tried to isolate people, separate them, cover them, so that they would not have support. But when we do find each other and we do find support, that's when we continue to rise, or after we continue to overcome. So, in a way, legislation has played both sides of the fence,
Mhm.
but we as a people have always been consistent. And when I say that, I mean here in America, we're not going nowhere. So, y'all gonna have to come on with
Period.
Angela, did you want to hop in?
I did. I wanted to speak on the when you talked about them cutting our hair when we came over on the slave ships. Another way that we as a people wanted to make sure that we thrived, which I've read about frequently and enough, was that um, cornrows was a thing that they came over here within their hair, and they would hide seeds in their hair because they didn't know how they were going to eat when they got to this new place, or what the food would be like. So they would braid their hair down and stuck seeds and different things in there so they would have food when they got to the mainland, they didn't know where they were going, so they just wanted to make sure that they could be able to nourish their bodies. And I think that's so beautiful that cornrows are not just a style. They're not just a fashion statement that anyone can wear. They have a history in our country. Like it's not just to protective styles aren't just protective styles. They have a meaning. They're here for a reason. And I would just like to say I love protective styles, whether it's braids, it's the locks, whether it's the sew-ins or the wigs, those things were made to protect the beautifulness of our crown so that we can have thriving hair underneath. But I can go to I can go to work though and throw on a wig and you could I'm conditioning my hair into this. You have no clue. But and I done showed up
Yeah.
different than I did yesterday. You just like, hold on, your hair was not the same yesterday. Yes, but that's the
Yeah.
versatility of black hair. I can do all of these things and show my personality each and every day with that versatility. And I love how amazing we have taken this, even with the head wraps, the different patterns and the colors. And it's just becoming more acceptable, like everyone has said, to be black unapologetically and show your hair no matter what shade, color, it comes in. You can walk out your house, and be who you are, and your hair shows that. Your hair is a version of your personality. And even if you don't have hair, that's still showing your personality. You're showing up as who you are regardless.
I love it. I do want to start debunking some of the myths. One of them you touched on with the wigs. And, this is the era of lace fronts. It's what
Mm-hmm.
lace? I am a wig. Y'all know me. I'm a wig warrior. I will do it in a minute. I do not care. I'll wear my hair. Like tonight, I'm doing clip-ins because I was like, I don't have time today. Tomorrow, it may be up in a bun with my hair. I don't know. Last summer, summer before last, I did braids. I've done the gamut. I've cut it off where it was short and I looked like Norbit. I grew it back long. It's down my back. As far as lace fronts, I've been silver like Storm. I've had Wendy Hamburger red hair. I've done short curly. I've done buns, bob, you name it, I've done it. And also when I was doing those things, it was where I was in my life because, as Jackie touched on, growing up in church was a very conservative, very restrictive environment. So I went through that phase of if it was available, I wanted to try it, and I did. And now I'm kind of finding my lane as far as what I like with my hair, but I do get bored and I may flip it, But saying all that, there's such a lie that black women wear weave or braids because we can't grow hair, we don't have hair. When in reality, most of us have very long hair, but it's a convenience. It's like as Angela touched on, it's to protect our hair, especially during the summer because using a lot of heat, it can be very damaging. Pulling and tugging, it can cause shedding, breakage. It can make your hair brittle, and sometimes it's just time consuming. And when I was going through the natural phase, natural hair to care for it is expensive. Those products are not cheap. There is a $1 billion, $1 trillion market for hair, natural hair products.
Absolutely.
And even if you are making your own products, you still have to buy those ingredients. And I was watching a YouTube video for some all natural homemade conditioner. I was like, oh, this is great. But by the time the girl kept showing this and this, I was like, girl, it's expensive. And so I have vacillated between perm, creamy crack, aka the relaxer, and it's just like, in the military, working out all the time, you sweat, and so there's just so many different things to that. But one of the things I wanted to touch on is the the lie that Black women can't grow hair. Now there are people that have hair trauma, like alopecia and things like that. Those things are different. But for the most part, the average Black woman has a beautiful head of hair, different textures, 3C, 2B. We have all these different coordinations of combinations of hair, whether it's a 3A, 2B, 4C. And those, ladies, if you're watching, you know what I'm talking about. So we're not all the same. My hair is different. It may be wavier in the crown and then curlier on the edges and then straight on the ends. And so I had someone when I was in the military, I can't say their name because they're still there. And they're an attorney. I don't want to, yeah. But she made a comment. She was like, why is your hair like two different textures? And she was standing behind me, like here, I could feel her peering into my scalp. And I wanted to say,
You didn't break her fingers? Oh gosh.
she was like literally staring at my hair, like, well, why is your hair different? Like, what's going on? And I'm just kind of like, mind your business. I wanted to say that respectfully, but she was out of pocket, for addressing me that way. And so I think, at least for me, I feel like, why is it even up to you, or why you feel like it's such a necessity to comment on my hair, or feel like, well, what's going on with my hair, that you want to make it known, talk about my hair. So um, I just really feel like,
Oh, we got two of you.
got a little technical difficulties. We are live. Things happen. Hold on. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what just happened.
Okay, try muting it until.
Yes. Is that good?
Do you have another device on?
Oh. Is that
Okay,
good?
you have a little echo.
Yeah. Y'all, we are live. Hold on. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Yes, but you have an echo.
Is that better?
No.
This is so funny.
Okay.
Is that good?
You just type what you want to say, and I'm just kidding.
Hop in there and take that over while I figure out what's going
on. I wanted to add, a lot of the myths about us come from us. Like, I didn't listen to a whole lot of music, but I remember one song that said, bald head, scallywag, ain't got no hair in the back, something like that, right? And I was like, why would we say that, right? And so, I don't know, I had to go look up the lyrics of the song, right? But most of the things that people think about us is because of what we project to them, right? For a period of time, we didn't care about growing hair because we knew we could clip something in, glue something in, wrap something in, right? Mm-hmm. If you had a quick weave, we knew good well the way we was putting them quick weaves in our hair, that was not good, right? Mm-hmm. But we did it. And even if it took all your edges off, we was cool with that because you knew you could go grab a wig. So for the longest time, now I think it's the most that I've, in the past few years, it's the most I've heard about beauticians really talking about healthy hair. Before, it was like, I just needed to look good. I need to be fried, dyed, laid to the side. And that's what it was. Now that we are embracing the totality of who we are when it comes to our hair, skin, nails, and all that stuff, now it's like, what you mean we can't grow no hair? Honey, let me tell you, hair, girl, hair, right? So I think it is on us to find out who we are so that we can then educate the people around us that, hey, I know back in the 90s, people were doing spritz. It was pump it up, pump it down, right? But I don't even think they carry that stuff on the shelf anymore. If they do, they should probably close the store down. But we are now beginning to accept who we are. And I think with time, we'll be able to continue to debunk a lot of the myths that we have often perpetuated throughout our culture.
That was so good. One of the things that's bothered me, 2 points I want to hop on. One, seeing little boys and little girls when they're playing sports and they're being forced to cut their locks off or their braids in order to participate in a game, whether it's basketball or wrestling match. And you can see the hurt in the eyes of the child. Mm-hmm. Because they're like, well, if you don't do it, you're going to forfeit your match and your team's going to lose. And that bothers me because what are you telling that little black boy, that little black girl?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, and I've struggled with it because of where I work. Where I work is still really conservative. I work at a law firm. It's really conservative. And a couple weeks ago, I just wanted to give my hair a break. So I threw on a wavy lace front or whatever. And I dreaded going to work, even though it was pretty. And I wasn't even in the office maybe 20 minutes. And a couple of coworkers, oh my God, your hair is just different. I was just like, I know, you know. And so when I make those slight changes, if I do want to have a lace front or whatever, it's just like I know I'm going to work. It's going to draw attention, and I hate that. Like I literally cringe, you know, when I opt to do it, and it's just the fact that I feel like that, and I let them make me feel that way. And so I'll wear it for a couple of days, and I'll go back to wearing my hair, and then I'll walk down the hallway, and then it's gonna go. And I'm just thinking like, just 1,000 yard stare, whatever, you know. But that's something that's still in within me that I'm still working out personally.
Yeah.
And this is so not funny, but it is. So I got news back in March. One of my close friends, Michael, passed away, and I found out at work. So I was at my desk crying, and my coworker comes over, and this day was pouring down, raining outside, and I didn't know he had passed away yet. So I was like, I'll just do a lace front right quick install, run to work. It's like a typhoon, you know, I didn't want my hair to get destroyed. So when I got the news at work, I'm crying, and my head is down, and she comes and she starts stroking my hair, and I'm crying, and I do like this. And I was just like, why are you touching
You could have touched my shoulder, sis. I mean, really?
Like you've been waiting for this moment, and this is your time to shine. And it bothered me so bad, but I had to push that to the side because I was like, Lord, I need my job, you know, which pushed me to make my T-shirt, which is out now. Yes, it's all me. No, you can't touch it. #hair because yes, that's out now. Go get that at Chemistry Room Fragrances.
Absolutely.
In cocoa brown and black. Anyway, but that's another phenomenon with the hair touching. And for those that don't know, well, touching our hair is traumatizing culturally. And Jackie, you can chime in, and Angela, if you guys know, I'm pretty sure you ladies do, where that comes from. So I know, but if you ladies would like to chime in and educate the viewers and the listeners why touching our hair is like the absolute no, please feel free to hop in.
Well,
I
have.
can't see their face.
Oh,
I can't see their face.
What'd you say?
I can't see their faces. I wanted to see their expressions when you said that the lady had touched your hair. There they go.
Oh.
There they go.
Oh, I thought. Okay. I thought you could see it. Yes, when she said that, I was like,
Why?
okay, why?
Like, anything else?
Anywhere. But Angela, go ahead. You can comment on that.
I don't know why. I feel like it's disrespectful for you to touch my hair. Like you didn't ask, so you just gonna touch me. Like you did. There is no reason for you to come and approach someone and touch their body without having permission. I don't care if it's their hair and it's clearly out there to see, but that's just disrespectful. You wouldn't just go, but you wouldn't pet someone's seeing eye dog because it's cute. So it's like the same thing with my hair. Don't touch my hair if you didn't ask. Like it's my personal space. It's like when someone walks in front of you and doesn't say excuse me, but they're like in your face. It's why would you? There is no reason. It's simple assault. It's very much an assault. Like, why are you touching me? Like, there is
but there's
absolutely no reason for you to touch me.
Context to that. I wanted to know who's aware of it.
I can. Well, from what's coming up in me, so much is coming up in me in the moment because I'm putting myself in these situations again, right? It's been a long time since somebody has ever dared to do such thing because I have that.
I was in the Navy, an NCIS agent. Slick touched my hair, then looked at me like, "Yeah, I touched your hair."
See, don't provoke me. But outside of just being provoked in my own, I'm big on my autonomy. You know what I'm saying? Ask, you must have permission. You know, right? But we can take it all the way back, and I can't say all the way back. Go ahead, let's go back to chattel slavery. We were not looked at as complete people. We were 3/5 of a person. We did not have the value of someone else that looked like that had whiter, paler skin. So if you touch dogs, you touch cats, you touch things that are inanimate because you feel like you don't need to ask permission because you already have it. Like you're an authority and you can just usurp your power over someone or something and choose to touch them or do whatever you want to do with them. It comes from a mindset of privilege. It comes from a mindset of the word escapes me, but they have it's not privilege. If the word, y'all, I think you might know the word I'm trying to get. But needless to say, the energy that has been given to a certain person based on where they live here in America
Mm-hmm.
means that I can violate, I can do said things, and I won't be prosecuted. Nobody will find out. Somebody will take for me. So it's a lot of a disregard.
Yes.
It's disrespectful, but it's a disregard for who you are as a person. And then spiritually, this is the seat of your consciousness. This is the higher the highest point of your body. This is where rational thought begins right here.
Yeah.
In your ovary, right here, your prefrontal cortex. And your hair is all this is attached to the brain. And we all this entity is connected, right? And so if my hair is growing from my head, it's connected to my brain, it's connected to my consciousness. And if we have an understanding about how spirit and energy moves and flows, everybody has their own.
Mhm.
And so if you're touching me, not only can I feel that physically, but I can feel that. You know, so we don't always want, not always, to mingle and cross those wires and hairs, especially if you are um, lightweight, abusing me. Like you're just choosing to touch me, and that's
Well, I wanted to bring in
Mm-mm.
this historical context. I found this out many years ago. The root of why the hair touching is so offensive. A lot of people that are not aware, we were placed on display um, like exhibits. They actually placed us in zoos, and they had signs where you could come. You could pay. Some were free, but you could pay
Petting zoo.
and pet
Ridiculous.
us. And that's where petting zoos initially started from. It started with our ancestors. And I don't know if you guys remember Sarah Barton, but Sarah Barton was a very voluptuous woman. She had very full breasts, very full hips, and they would put her on display in a
Mm-hmm.
few. And I cannot stand them. But Kim Kardashian did a photo shoot, um, what I call photo face, glam face, which is like black face, and she kind of mimicked. There's a caricature of Sarah Barton and Kim Kardashian reenacted this photo shoot, and which ties into a whole nother thing about body appropriation because we've always been poked fun of for being very curvy, very voluptuous, and now it's all the rage through the plastic surgery industry with our lips, our butts, our hot thighs, our breasts. That's another conversation. We kind of touched on that with the previous episode. I think Reese and I talked about that briefly. But when we go into now hair appropriation, because now we see people that don't look like us. The first time I saw a non-melanated person wearing locks was in college, and I thought that was so weird, Jackie. And it was like, even though I've never been one to wear locks, but just the fact that it was a part of that diaspora of being black in this world, to see that, and it was like, And now we see um, non-melanated celebrities wearing bantu knots, feet-in braids, cornrows, braids, box braids. You know, you talk about black women for wearing weaves, but you're wearing pieces yourself. You're wearing whole wigs yourself. You're wearing inserts yourself, Jackie. And so, but yes, the whole hair touching ties out of slavery because we were labeled as property. And then with us being shamed through shaving our heads. So there's a deep cultural identity when you look back across the waters, as far as that's how different tribes identify themselves was through our hairstyles. Some tribes they wore the bantu knot, some were worn known for wearing the locks. Then you look at the history of the Caribbean and how the lock is so deep rooted within the Carib nations. And then you look over into Africa, you know, we think, oh, hair coloring is new. It's not, because if you study and dig, you'll see even today there are still people there that will take the clay and mix it and put natural flowers in it, and they dye their head red in different colors, bright, vibrant reds, and also different colors also signified if they were in times of war or peace. Would put beads and shells in their hair, and we still see these trends today. So that things that we're doing now is not just a trend; it's cute. There's a historical tie into what we do. We express ourselves, and even now, as Black people, men and women, through our hair. If we want to look sharp and trendy, we'll wear our hair a certain way. If we want to look more poised or more refined, we may wear our hair a certain way. If we're just kind of feeling free, we might do a wash and go because we love how our hair blows in the wind. So there's so much tied into our hair. So when you come and you touch our hair, or you have this a curiosity about our hair, we're not an exhibit. We're not on display. We're not for your entertainment. We are people with a history and with a culture that's rooted deeply, and it's rooted in our roots. So that's why I say hands off to our hair.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get off my soapbox.
No, that's good, sis. That is good. Can I add what it took for me to get the full understanding, right? So in the military, when we're going to, let's just say Afghanistan, right? We have a whole brief.
Yes, we do.
On the people, the culture, the religion, things you do, don't do, ain't gonna do. They'll freaking
on the porch or do.
Listen, they'll nail you to a cross if you go to those folks' countries acting a fool, right? And so that is how me and Rev talked about it in the car today. Because I was just like, well, what's wrong if, they want to rock cornrows? Hey, let them rock cornrows. Like, and he was like, girl, no, right? And so when I was like, well, is it like that? He was like, yes. He said the United States is the only country, with the only location where people can violate you after you tell them I am violated, and it be okay. No other country can you go and dress in their garb, like their garments. Nope. If they deem it, if the culture deems it as a garment that is, sanctified, holy, we don't even question that, right? If Jewish people have, hey, this is how we wear, this is how we, if Muslims say, nope, this is what we do, this is how we pray, right? Nobody attacks that. But as soon as a Black person said, hey, this is really all I have, and the very thing that I have, you want to take that too, like it becomes a problem. So I'm mad that I was a little slow in getting that. But sometimes you have to pull the lens back so that you can fully understand, like, just how backwards it is for us to be made to feel like we can't even question folks when they try to take our stuff. Like, no, you're touching me. You're taking something that belongs to me. It's all I have. For one, it grows from me. And so when people try to strip us from the very thing that grows from us, like Doc said earlier, it takes away our value.
Yeah,
you don't just go. Yeah, you don't just go in jewelry stores. Like, you might go into the pawn shop and touch everything, but you ain't going up in, you ain't going up in caves. You ain't going up into everything is behind the glass, and you can't access it. But we, as a people, have allowed folks to access us for so long. It's just taken us a long time to unturn it back. Now, folks are asking, well, why you let me do it back then? Why can't I do it now? And so we're in this discovery period, I believe. This is our renaissance. We're becoming. And it feels good. And like Cam, you were saying, you don't want to switch out because that's something you're dealing with internally with your confidence. When we find out who we are and whose we are, listen, honey. I walk different. I can walk a different way. Even if I didn't wash my face all the way, I'm still gonna be glowing because I just wake up with a glow because I understand who I am and whose I am, right? And it does go from when we pray from the crown of our head to the sole of our feet. Guess what? Hair doesn't grow from the sole of our feet. I hope y'all ain't got no hair on the soles of y'all feet, right? Right? When God did a thing, not to turn this into church, but let me just tap in real quick. When he created us and he designed us to be perfected in such a way, everything was by design. So you're not seeing people walking around with hair growing from the soles of their feet. It's coming from here, like what Doc said earlier. So I just think it's important. I'm so happy that this live has prompted me to find out more about me. And it has awakened something in me. So sorry, world. It's Cam's fault. I'm sorry. Sorry, Navy.
I love it.
It's Cam's fault.
No, I love it. And what really got me in love with it more and you got ladies remember late 90s, early 2000s, that neo soul era, and to see us in the way we showed up. The music Soul Childs, the India Aries, the Jill Scott, and I was like, oh, it's so cool, and I loved it, And I was listening to Christian Keys. I love listening to him talk. He's so articulate, and he was talking about how he went to an event, and someone made a comment talking about minorities, and an older Black woman in the back hollered out, said, "There's nothing minor about us." And I thought, wow, that's heavy, and we hear about appropriation, and like Jackie, your D9 sister, like myself, and we see now non-D9 people stepping and strolling, and that burns me up because, girl, it's a whole other show. Don't get me going on that. But, they want to wear line jackets and and crap, and I'm just like, not going there. But it's the appropriation for me, and it's just like, historical, so much has been stripped of us, and we need to hold on to as much as we can, because that's what allowed us to survive all these centuries. Are the traditions, is our history, is our culture, is our hair, on top of everything else. And so even when you look at it biblically, we look at Samson, how was he defeated? This broad cut his hair, Delilah's. So it's just like, I think it's so important for us to continue to educate people. And I'm glad that we do have the Crown Act, but it saddens my heart that we have to have it, because we have to have a law to protect us to wear our own hair. That's how it grows naturally out of our scalp. And when you hear that and how insane that is, it's crazy.
It is. It's sad that Jesus had to come and die, but for him dying, right? So the day that we figure it out is still not a day too late. And the day that we decide to stand up for ourselves is still not a day too late. And so if we could continue to have these type of conversations where we say, no, this is who you are, and this is how you will. When I tell my baby when she leave, I don't care. This girl cut her locks out because somebody said she looked like a pineapple. I was livid. I said, what are you doing? But now I tell her, you will not ever, bullying is so bad. Folks be trying our kids out here. They really do. But something as simple as somebody making a joke about her hair looking like a pineapple, it was so cute. Come home, girl, and combed all the locks out. I'm just like, whew. But that's just how powerful it is. So now every time she does something with her hair, ooh, girl, fine, honey. Ooh, your skin's so chocolate brown. I'm jealous. I think I'm going to go in the sun for a couple of hours. We have to continue to empower our young Black children, because one thing the church didn't do, and I'm going to get off my soapbox, the church showed us the word. They didn't tell us how to live the word. They didn't make it applicable. They told us about a God who was powerful, all present, and told us about that, but didn't tell us how we can be all powerful and all present wherever we walk into a room. Right? You know what I mean? So we are definitely undoing some traditional thing as it relates to our relationship with God. But this knowledge that we are able to share, and I'm just so glad to be at the table with you all. It is really liberating. It absolutely is.
Yeah. And that too, all of us being of the darker hue, what I call the hypermelated. I think we're fabulous. I think we're beautiful. We come in so many different shades, tones, complexions. And that's one thing, because we are still living in a society that's still now pushing this light skin, long hair, curly hair narrative, and yet we're still having to push back. I heard Viola Davis saying, she was on the Breakfast Club talking about the abuse she went through as a child and how she was talked about for being dark. And it was one of her teachers that told her that she was beautiful. And it was the first time she heard that. And even people have told her they didn't think she was pretty enough to play on Scandal, which, and so these things, even when you think with celebrity, but you don't know what they experience, when it comes to complexion, particularly women, particularly dark-skinned women, and have to fight to be present, have to fight to be shown, and have to fight to be represented even now. And so I commend all of you in every space, and those watching. If you have a little boy or a little girl that is dark or brown, or continue to affirm them. Those words are so important. I have nieces, two of them, they have the same parents. One is dark, and for years people thought they have different parents. And it's like, no, they have the same mother and father. And Black people, our DNA is so complex that you can have two kids. One can be light, one can be dark. One of my close friends back in Gallatin, her family, she has, her father's a pastor. They have 10 brothers and sisters. Five of them are gingers, light skin, red hair, and freckles. The rest of them are brown skin. But our DNA is so diverse. You don't know what you're gonna get just because we're so just diverse as a people, and we're beautiful. Whether if you're high yellow or dark as night, you are gorgeous. And that's the message of all this. Whether if your hair is long, whether if it's straight, whether it's curly, whether it's wavy, if you cut it off, if you dye it, your prerogative, but you're beautiful. Period.
Mm-hmm.
Can I share something right quick?
Yes.
Being a black woman, in America is hard enough. But when you're coming up against the stereotypes that we have to live through, we learn certain things that we, hear and we take it on. But I wanted to bring up the fact of capitalism here in America. I think capitalism is one of the major undercurrents that is supporting the narrative that long, to be honest, the standard of beauty has been measured against the white woman.
Yes.
And so our standard of beauty is different. People are getting it now, but I wanted to bring up capitalism because it's a matter of value. We're telling ourselves, we're telling these young girls, we're telling these young boys, we're trying to get the message out basically that you are valuable.
Absolutely.
Whether your hair is short, long, braided, weaved up, whatever. Because capitalism will say if you don't look like this, then you're not worth this.
Mm-hmm.
And that is absolutely false. But what we're doing here and when we leave this place is trying to continue to change the narrative of what is beautiful because beauty has been equated with value. That's why this is so important because if I'm looking in the mirror and I don't see value because of the way my hair looks or anything like that, then I can end up having anxiety or mental health issues. Like I really can be impacted as a woman and a young person because I don't see beauty and value in what I'm looking at. And it is in the mind. It is in the mind, but the mind is very malleable at certain stages. So music, the propaganda that people hear, the words from our loved ones, they affect us so much because they are intrinsically adding to our value.
Yeah.
So that's why I just had to throw that in because the underlying current, all this wouldn't matter if we all knew, like there was this program in our minds that said, you're amazing, you're wonderful, you're going to do whatever you're going to do, period. Like you wouldn't listen to anything anybody else said about calling names, whatever. I'm amazing, I'm wonderful. You know what I'm saying? But we're malleable, we're dynamic people, we're not static, we change.
Mm-hmm.
And we're affected by others. So making sure that the message is shrouded in the value that each person has, I feel is very important.
Yeah.
Love it. Angela, did you have anything you want to add to that?
Black is beautiful every day, all day. No matter what you look like, your black is beautiful. I don't care if you the lightest of the light or you the darkest of the night. Like black is beautiful. Like what is it? Field mom said, "Black is the berry, the sweet is the juice." And I I can say one thing. I am thankful every single day and grateful to be black. There is no other culture I would rather be because it don't matter if you the lamest of the lame or you the coolest of the cool. We are cultural icons. We set the standard. We set the trends. It's the music, the hair, the clothes, whatever we do, we are number one. And no one can take that away from us. We are not a minority. Melanated people will never be the minority because we are the majority of the world. And so I love and genuinely am thankful to be black each and every day and to be natural because it's amazing over here, you know. My hair stands up, you know, it does look like a pineapple some days, and I'm thankful to be a pineapple. Pineapples are sweet, they're great for your
Hey.
body.
Right. Right.
And so
In Hawaiian culture, pineapple is the symbol. It represents hospitality.
Mhm.
look, all greatness over here.
Yeah.
No, that's good. We be excellent on accident,
Yeah.
and we allow other folks to discount what we do naturally.
Mm-hmm.
Like we don't have to get coached on it. So again, when we have doctors on the panel, listen, y'all can't tell me nothing. We got doctors on the panel, honey. You got Navy chiefs on the panel, folks walking around the Pentagon, honey, talking hair policy, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Like these are all big things, right? And to have that level of representation at such high level, let's not even we ain't gonna talk about the VP. We're not gonna talk about the Supreme Court. Like we got things happening, right?
Mm-hmm.
Things are happening. And once we realize how big of a deal we are, the world will catch up. And if they don't, they'll just be left with
Yeah.
it.
One of the things I remember in the military was witnessing the transition, which is still ongoing as far as the hair policies, particularly for Black and brown people, um, with particularly with the braids, the locks, wanting to go natural, and how um, non-Black counterparts, they didn't understand, or I would hear comments about the frustration over why can't they just conform to the regulation and why it was such a big deal. And the things I saw, witness, and experience, I saw, and not just with Black women, I saw a lot of white women too that had thinning edges, hair
Yes.
breaking off because you wearing those tight buns every day for years, and it causes breakage around your perimeter,
Yeah.
stress, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, then just the culture of being a woman in the military, seeing women with hair loss, thinning hair, bald spots. And Reese, we both have been deployed on the ship. The water is not good. And
Right.
so if you don't have other products with you to kind of help through that process, you could lose your hair, it could fall out, it could thin. Traveling to different bases, the water when I was stationed in California, very different from when I was stationed in Rhode Island, or when I was stationed in Rhode Island, or when I was stationed in Alaska, or when I was out in the Middle East. Like the water, it's different, and just in the state, in Memphis the water is soft, in Nashville the water has more limestone in it. Now I live in North Carolina, the water here is different. And so when your hair is going through all these changes, on top add in hormones, then add in life, then add in other things. And so it comes out, these stressors come out in your hair. So I think it's very important and very important for us to remember as Black women that our hair is our glory. What's up, Whitney and Lisa? And Lisa, she rocks the blonde, and she's locked up, and she does it with pride, and she shows up, and when she's in the room, she's in the room.
Mhm.
And so these things, us having the confidence to say, this is me, I'm a brown skinned woman, this is my hair and all my glory, love it or leave it. And we have to be that way. And I had Wakandias on a couple months ago. We did I did a Black fatherhood panel, and we were talking about how Black men show up in the room and they address themselves. And Wakandias made the comment. He said, "I had to learn how to bring myself fully, totally into the room, and just and let everyone else adjust." And I thought, wow, that's so powerful to say. Like, you show up and you bring your full self into the room and you adjust, because I'm going to be me. I'm not you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. One thing that Rev told me about DAP, dignity and pride. I was like, boy, don't you school me now. Don't you school me about dignity and pride, right?
Yes.
But when we show up, don't show up ashy like it's too many products that Mother Earth have created for us,
Yes.
for us to not show up excellent. So but it starts with the children. Like my son, he's 8 years old, and listen, if he want his wave spinning like Pops, hey, that takes dedication. You gotta get that brush and the little spin with the wrist. Like it takes dedication, right? When our girls are going to school, and don't send them, they may come back looking crazy like they was on a roller coaster, but when you leave this house, you will be put together in a way that you are showing your dignity and pride. I don't care if you're on the basketball court. Listen, we gonna show up. I don't care if you're on the tent, whatever we're doing, right? And so it starts small. People will often judge folk who dress their children up, and I be confused. Like, wait, these are our jewels. These are our prized possession. Why you upset that this 3-year-old got chapstick on? I don't understand. Now, if you see them with lashes, that's a little extra. That's weird,
Oh,
right? But to be able to send our children in a way that is representative of who we are, we need to do that more. And we can't say we do. And we do really bad about bashing our own folk. When we see our people out, we take on the philosophy that ain't my business. No, if I see you, you brown, you're a mother, you're a father, you're aunt, you're uncle, you my business. Like, and if you don't like what I say to you in love, then you'll have to deal with that. But you can't be around me and say that Reese didn't say, hey baby, you want to hit your elbows with this cocoa, but I keep it in my bag, like I got it, right? Just to be able to take care, because when I come up to you and I embrace you, or when we dap each other up, we are, when people see that from afar, they be like, dang, nobody, no other culture does that. No other culture says, hey, what's up, man? Boom, bring it in. I ain't never seen nobody else do that ever.
yes.
And so when they are looking in the distance, they like, dang, I want that. Like, we have something that people around the world want. When me and Rev are out and we're about to do an event, immediately what we do, we grab hands, we forehead to forehead, and we pray. And I can just feel people watching. But we have to continue to be the thing that looks like strength. And if we look like strength, nobody can break us down about our hair. Even if our edge is a little thin, hey, that's okay. They're coming back. They're coming back.
Yeah, I think that's important. Us showing up in our full regal selves. It does bother me when I see us sliding through Target, and that vexes my soul. And that for me, for me, one of the things that really snapped me and woke me up was when my very first deployment, and I saw us as Black people outside of America, and we went to a few countries, and the one thing that was the same in every country that we went to, how Black people across the waters, how they show up. There's like a pride, a resilience. It's just like an awareness. I didn't see anyone walk around in bonnets. I didn't see anyone sliding. I didn't see anyone sagging. And every person of color I encountered spoke at least 3 or 4 different languages, and they were they were just so present. And I was like, wow, I wish most of us or more of us could see ourselves globally. I think it would make us more aware of how we look when we're out in public. And so coming back from that first deployment and then in just observing us here, it made me sad. It made me just a little sad because I'm like, wow, they don't know. Because here we're so minimized. Society does so much to minimize who we are and how great we are. And that's why I tell people, when you have the chance to travel outside the country, do it.
Yeah.
It's so important to see you. And when I say you, meaning Jaacalyn, Reese, Angela, Jana, Lisa, to see us as a people outside of the United States and to see us globally, it's like, wow, we're dope.
Yeah.
We are
Can I
so dope, Jackie.
I wanted to speak to that though, because I've traveled other places in the world, and I noticed that as well. But the one thing that I realized when I got back here was the fact that they have an identity, and it's tied to the nationhood of where they come from. I'm
Mm.
from France. Even if you're a Black person from France, they know that their people come from a specific place, and they most of the time they're aware of where they literally come from.
Yeah, because they have
Because
family back.
correct. So when the Ma'afa happened and we were dispersed across the diaspora, we did not have and don't have sometimes here in the States unless you do 23andMe or African ancestry. But even at that, it just gives you a place. It doesn't tell you a person. It doesn't tell you your, and blank the son of such and such, which is the daughter of such and such. It doesn't go down that deep,
Yes,
right? So,
genealogy. Yes.
right. So when you're talking about, yes, yes, they were rooted. They know who they are. So they can show up in Poland, France, Germany, wherever. I'm a blank, blank, blank. But they don't have to say it, but they know it,
Yeah.
right? So for a people that had to reform what who they were was with the help of other people, it's like Reese and Angela were saying earlier, we have to unschool. We have to retrain our brains about the real truth of who we are. People, I'll put it like this: West Africans, especially West Africans, because most of the individuals that were made it here and actually lived came from the regions of West Africa, primarily Nigeria or the Igbo and the Yoruba people. So those are the ones who came here, and a lot of our traditions here are out of the Mende people, back on the continent. But Mende and some others, because there's a whole lot of us over here. That was a generalization, but needless to say, West Africa, honey, when they show up, have y'all seen? I know y'all seen, and y'all, I know some of y'all are lightweight addicted to those weddings on Instagram and and
Yes.
Hollywood. I know y'all watching because it is extravagant. It is
Lit.
beautiful. You watching, you're like, can I just want the money to fall on me and dance, yes, and all the things, right? The clothes, the colors, the ceremony, the ritual, the blackness, all of it, right? It's
Mhm.
amazingly beautiful. And
Yeah.
so, what makes you think that we don't each have a little bit of that on the inside of all of us? We come up in the most, we are the most. Oh, do y'all follow Shirlene? She's a comic on, honey, she did a video where she was like, I don't know why. I don't know why they don't expect me to be the most. It's gonna always be the best.
It's
It's gonna
always.
always gonna be over the top. Like, and I said, yes, you have
Yes.
captured the essence of black excellence.
Extraness is in our DNA.
Hey.
Yes. And I was like, but our people are that of that energy. And not to say to pigeonhole every person. Some people
Yeah.
are don't speak at all, are quiet and are meek, but I'm talking about the energy of the people, right? The energy of the people. If we go back, and you can check a lot of sources, it the further back you go, the blacker it gets,
Yeah.
all the way to the beginning. So we have a long line of first creativity. I mean, we're here, right? So that is the energy that we are learning to come into. But
Yeah.
overseas, I would agree with Camille. They know who they are. Like, they have the history. And when I was coming up, they'll say it all the time. Oh, well, you know your history. And I'm like, oh my God, history class is boring. Blah, blah, blah. That's until I really got into a good one. Okay. But
Mhm.
history is everything. It's everything because it gives you a foundation to explore, and you give yourself permission to expand and see how vast our people really are. We're everywhere. Everywhere there's land and habitation,
We are they.
we're there. We are there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love it. So before we wrap things up, I do want to do a part two on this because we just kind of scraping the
In the
surface.
service.
I definitely want us to go deeper into that. Lisa said we are confused because so many are trying to look like what they see versus learning more about who they are. Very true, Lisa. Thank you for tuning in. I do want us to continue this conversation of Black Girl Magic and all things wonderful because it's needed. Um, when you hear the Kevin Samuels of the world and we hear those conversations and we have to debunk that junk because it's what it is. Um, we have to continue to uplift each other. We are the backbone of society. We uphold the world. The world literally comes through us. We are the gatekeepers to all things great and dope out here. So before we wrap things up, I do want to thank each of you all for joining me here and would love to have each of you back to continue this conversation. And I want each of you to leave a jewel or nugget and also where people can find you on social media. And if you have any merch or anything like that, where people can find you, please let them know. We'll start with Angela.
Hi, my name is Angela Paggett again, and I am a associate marriage and family therapist in the Metro Atlanta area. And my Instagram is at the Therapy Goddess. And I also have journals that you can purchase from Amazon if you would like to support. And that's pretty much it.
Hey.
Awesome. And did you have any like a nugget jewel or takeaway for the viewers on 20?
I do. Take care of your mental health. Your mental health is just as important as your physical health. So remember to take care of yourself each and every day. And if you need someone to talk to, not that I can be your therapist, but find a therapist in your area. I also am taking clients, but find a therapist in your area that works for you.
Thank you so much, and I'm honored. This is Angela's first time to the show, so I think she did an amazing job, and I look forward to having her back. Um, she's a person of little words, but when she does say something, it's major. So I also want to thank Dr. Jackie. She is a regular to the show, and so I've known her, we've known each other since we were pretty much kids. And she is definitely one of my soul sisters. So I want to thank her for being here. Jackie, did you have any nuggets, takeaways, and then where people can find you on social media?
Yes, I would like to let everyone know that imitation is the highest form of flattery. We are in this world and people see what they like and they see what they want. And it just so happens we're in a place where things seem to be unjust and the 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 tables, things aren't necessarily even. But I come from the perspective that no one can take your divinity, your power, your essence away from you.
Hmm.
When you come into that fully, whatever it is, whatever level you're at, you know, we're here just sharing our journeys. We're human and people just like you. All of us. I was teased. We've gone through the gamut of emotions just like everybody else on this call, and we just want to let you know that you are not alone, and we're in this journey right along with you. And on Instagram, you can find me at Divine Wellness LLC. Instagram has become, it made me mad because somebody hacked my original page that had all the thousands of followers. So my page is starting over. So if there's not many posts, that's why. But Divine Wellness LLC is my Instagram page, and Divine Wellness on Facebook as well. And I'm on the bandwagon with Angela. Self love is primary and paramount. So we must take care of ourselves so that we can love and take care of others. And I'm just grateful that I was able to be here and share space with you all. And I'm excited for next time. Thank you, Camille.
Thank you. Reese?
So up, you got it up there. So and then step underscore LLC for Instagram. Yeah, it's been a little shady over there at Instagram lately because life, just happens. But we're getting in step. My what I wanted to leave was if we live by the Spirit, let us also keep in step with the Spirit. That's something that from Galatians 5:25 that I like to go by. And so like Doc was saying earlier, well, we got two doctors. They were saying this verse tells me that I don't have to tell anybody that I'm a believer. They're going to see the evidence of that. So if I align my culture and my blackness to that, I don't have to show up and be like, I'm blackity black, black. I'm black, black, black. No, 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 no. You see me. You see me. And when I'm walking in step in a way that if you don't know, you're going to want to know. Right. And so that is our charge with In Step is to encourage us all when we feel that we are out of alignment when it comes to our culture, when it comes to our faith walk, whatever that is, right? When it comes to the circle, whether it be a full circle or linear, because people get strange sometimes, right? Once we know what that is, nobody can invalidate us. Nobody can cause us to be invaluable. None of those things can make us feel less than when we are sure who we are and whose we are. So again, thank you, Cam Bam, for setting this up. This has been so helpful for me. I felt like I was a little deficient, but even in this short time, you ladies have been able to educate me, and I'm going to start looking up some history books. Stan, I know you told me I need to read more about my history. Listen, don't fuss at me, but I to see Black women be knowledgeable about where we came from, not just according to the Bible, right? Because that's all I was privy to. That was all that was handed to me. Lord have mercy. I now understand the necessity of me finding out who I am and where I came from, so that I can then pour that into my children and anybody I come in contact with. So again, thank you, ladies.
Thank you. And I wanted to leave. First of all, I want to say thank you to you ladies for joining me and those tuning in if you came in late. I really appreciate everyone tuning in. If you missed this episode, the replay will be available on my YouTube channel. I do want to add to this that your hair, yes, is a part of you, but it's a part of you. There's a whole you. And being the whole you is a journey and it's a process, because at one point in time we were not whole, we were broken, we were hurt, we were traumatized, and we're in this journey in this place called life. And one of the things about the Speaker podcast, I say we're innovators and creators connect, but it's also a place for innovators and creators to tell their stories. We have brands, we have businesses. Yes, we're doing it for money, but we all have a story behind what we're doing, why we're doing, our purpose and our why, and what drives us. um, Even in this journey, I've learned to be more present, more confident, more to realize that Camille has a voice and the world needs to hear it. And I also want to share this space with other people that have something to say. It's one thing if you have a platform, but don't just build it for clout. Bring your people with you. We get so caught up in just wanting to make these vertical connections and climb the ladder, but on a horizontal level, there's so many dope people across the aisle from you. Bring those people with you, because I think we can accomplish more together reaching across the aisle than trying to climb and stretch and strain out of our reach going upward. And I think that's very important, particularly as us as Black women. We see so many people catfighting on social media, on these reality shows that are not really real, it's fake. Things I see on YouTube. I was clicking through YouTube earlier, and celebrities on these talk shows, and I was like, wow, this stuff is so fake. It's so staged, it's so scripted. But yet, where is the wholeness? Where is the healing? Where is the conversation? Where is the bucking the junk? Where is the exhorting of each other? Where is the pushing? Where is the narrative where it's like, hey, you have a brand that's going to help women be healthy with juice and tea. Let's promote that. You ladies have businesses that promote inner wellness and being for our minds and body. Let's push and promote that. There's so much crap out here, but it's like we need to do more as a people. We need to be more educated as a people. I think it's very important to have these conversations, not just for women, but I've also opened the door for our brothers because they need a space to communicate as well. We have little boys and little girls out here that are committing and contemplating suicide, young boy. It's not a white thing. It's happening in our communities as well, and we need to continue to push and have these conversations. I think it's very poignant, and I think it's very important. So that's one of the premises behind the Speaker podcast. Yes, we do have fun. We talk about relationships and love and things like that. But I also think it's very important for us as people to realize who we are, where we come from, and why we show up the way we do. I think that's important beyond everything. Because once you find out who, then you'll know what your why is. And once you know your why, you'll know who your client is. You will know who your audience is. You will know who your clients are, who your customers are. But you have to understand and go back. That way you know where you're going. And I'm gonna get off my soapbox and stop talking because I get in that space or whatever. But I do want to thank everybody for hopping on and joining in this conversation. Be sure to go to my website. We do have merchandise there available, dropping new stuff all the time. So you go right now and use some coupon code GBM15. That way you can save at the checkout. Mother's Day is this coming up. So chemistry room fragrances out there. Get your mom to spray and help her make that room smell good. Stop breathe. Made with love, okay?
And start early on Father's Day too. Get you the Good Black Men Exist shirts.
Yes. Out there, because all of them are not bad. As Lisa say, maybe your picture was off. Maybe you chose it. Grab the merch. Be sure to subscribe. And I do have some great news. A couple of days, I found out that the Speaker podcast, we've been picked up by AfroPods, which is like the African version of iHeartRadio. So now I'm streaming across continental Africa. I'm super, super excited about that. So if you're traveling, not only am I on iHeartRadio, Pandora, all the other streaming platforms, the Speaker podcast is now a part of the AfroPod family. So thank you so much. So with that being said, this is your girl, your sister, your friend, your cousin, your homegirl, Camille Essick. I'm host of the Speaker podcast, the podcast where innovators and creators connect. You guys be blessed. Good night.